The two Islamic schools at the centre of a huge political row over extremism. We have new evidence tonight about the thinking of a key trustee and head teacher. Tonight, Newsnight has obtained new evidence of the kind of philosophy behind the two Islamic schools at the centre of a row over extremism. The head teacher of one school and a trustee of the charity behind both claimed Western education is a threat to Islamic beliefs and values. We confronted the organisation linked to the school with the evidence.
So it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Well, it might be, it might not be. I don't know. There's, as I say, if you do your research, you'll
I've done my research, we've got it here.
The Shadow School secretary who helped raise the issue this week is here live. Dubai, the brash economic power in the Gulf, asks creditors to back off on billions of debt repayments. We assess the economic aftershocks. And the last big Nazi war crimes trial in Germany. We've a special report from a Holocaust survivor.
They told me to take out the people from the car. When I pulled out the woman, the skin remained in my hands.
And on Newsnight Review at 11, Michael Gove will be joining Bonnie Greer, David Aronovich, Hala Afshar and me to discuss the Sarah Palin phenomenon at the top of the bestseller list with a publishing run of 2.5 million books and an extraordinary coast-to-coast tour. Is this the new way to campaign for the Republican nomination?
I had a drive to help, an interest in government and current events since I was a little kid.
Does the Coen brothers' new dark comedy of a cursed Jew chime with our straitened times?
Just tell him I need help. Please, I need help.
And cartoon tears and cartoon carnage in footnotes in Gaza. Joe Sacco's latest work is witness to old hostilities in the midst of new ones. Is it history, journalism, or a comment on the futility of both?
Good evening. Both the government and the Conservative Party are broadly in favour of the idea of faith schools, and Muslim schools in Britain, like Jewish or Church of England schools, are generally well regarded by parents and their local communities. But two Muslim schools hit the headlines this week when David Cameron challenged the Prime Minister in the Commons about the public funding of schools with apparent links to an organisation regarded as extremist, Hizb ut-Tahrir. Newsnight tonight has uncovered disturbing new evidence of the thinking of the head teacher at one of the schools. Here's Richard Watson.
Two schools lie at the heart of this political controversy. David Cameron accused the government in Parliament of using public money to support these schools, which he said were run by a charity which was a front for Hizb ut-Tahrir. Some of the research which found its way to David Cameron's office originally came from the campaign group, the Centre for Social Cohesion.
It's unfortunate that David Cameron got some factual inaccuracies. However, it's important to concentrate on the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is the fact that the government has funded this school that teaches Hizb ut-Tahrir philosophy, and that's quite worrying.
So the Conservative Party made some pretty big mistakes about the source of funding, but that still leaves some substantive issues, such as the nature of the links with Hizb ut-Tahrir. Well, we've obtained these documents which paint an astonishing portrait of the politics of some of those running the schools.
The headmistress of the Slough school could not be reached for comment tonight. It's the Eid holiday. But 2 days ago she said this.
I'm not a member of Hizb ut-Tahrir, so I can speak for myself.
So are you saying that you've never been a member? I've been told that you've been a member in the past.
Okay, I think that's an irrelevant question.
But back in 2003, she had plenty more to say about political Islam. We've obtained this document which sets out her views, and it talks about the evils of the Western educational system. She even says that taking part in British society is contrary to Muslims' belief. On democracy, she said this. Teaching democracy integrates the Muslims by making them feel they're represented in society. However, they'll not be informed of the true nature of this corrupt tradition. For her, teaching English was especially perilous. This is one of the most damaging subjects, she said, and Shakespeare was completely beyond the pale. Romeo and Juliet, which advocates disobeying parents and premarital relations. Macbeth, which questions the concepts of fate and destiny. There are obvious dangers to anyone who reads or watches these plays. She concluded that the Muslim community as a whole in Britain needs to realise that Western education is a threat to our beliefs and values. It is our duty to tackle this challenge as a community in order to protect our young from its corruption.
Hizb ut-Tahrir are an organisation that promote total disengagement with the mainstream democratic process, and this is why we are against any sort of organisations or any attempts to try and insidiously promote their values in, for example, schools, and any organisation that is taxpayer funded.
In 2005, Farah Ahmed helped prepare this document, the curriculum for both schools. It's pretty innocuous stuff mostly, but there's a very interesting reference on page 31 to teaching 9-year-olds about the Khilafah or the Islamic State. The ruling system in Islam is called the Khilafah and lists 4 principles. 1. Sovereignty to Allah. 2. Authority to the Ummah or the people. 3. There must be one ruler. 4. The Khilafah has the right to adopt laws and rules from Islam.
These points that they're making are almost an exact replica of what is in Hizb ut-Tahrir's core text. A book written by the founder of Hizb ut-Tahrir, for example, lists all of these things. That shows the clear link between the ideology of the party and what they're teaching in the schools.
At a central London hotel today, Hizb ut-Tahrir called a press conference to attack David Cameron's comments in the Commons.
How do you account for the fact those exact words from that text appear in the school curriculum?
Anything in the school curriculum, you go and ask the school.
Well, we've got it here. This is it.
Fine. And so what? If it is in accordance with the rules of Ofsted, sure, and it is not inciting the children of that school to hate and to demonise and vilify other people.
So it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Well, it might be, it might not be. I don't know.
So are you saying still that Hizb ut-Tahrir has not informed the curriculum of these schools? Is that your position? What's your position on it?
You know what? Frankly, I would love it if Hizb ut-Tahrir's opinions informed everybody's opinions.
You're a political party, a marginal political party, if I may say so. Yeah. So is it appropriate for you to receive by default taxpayer support for these schools?
Okay, 2 points. Number 1, Hizb ut-Tahrir does not run these schools, because your question is premised on that assumption.
Your wife is a trustee of the charity.
What does your wife do?
She's a journalist.
Okay.
Latest records show Mr. Mustafa's wife has disappeared from the charity's trustee list, but she appears in records from earlier this year. Her husband believes HT is facing a witch hunt.
There's something in this debate. There's a lot of dancing around in this debate. They should come out and say to Muslims, if you hold views which we do not like, political views, nothing to do with violence or terror, then you'll be treated as second class.
Of course, Hizb ut-Tahrir is not a prescribed organisation here, and there are passages in the curriculum document we obtained which urge respect for non-Muslims. But many Muslim leaders told us today that education about the Khilafah, the Islamic State, is definitely not mainstream. So there are interesting questions to ask about the national interest when social cohesion is a priority.
Richard Watson, well, the Shadow School Secretary Michael Gove is with me now. We'll get on to the main point of this discussion.